Hello, friends. Let's unfold what is economic terrorism and economic imperialism and how countries are playing this new form of terrorism in a much more sophisticated way so that they have their supremacy established over the world. Now, we have seen how post World War II, the Cold War era started, and how the two blocs tried to influence each of the countries within the blocs. Now, this is something interesting to look into because the means of influencing the countries was more economic, unlike before. Before was the era of political dominance all across the globe, which we have seen in the Napoleonic history, which we have seen in the UK British era in India, which we have seen uh, Japan or Germany expanding as Axis powers in the early 20th century. So that was all about political dominance. The new era post World War II and during the Cold War and beyond that, as of 21st century as well, this is the era of economic imperialism, where countries influence other countries in their political decisions through economic means. A very explicit example at the extreme end of this is economic terrorism, which we have realized, observed recently in the past 10 years, very much played by the United States against Iran for influencing them in the to stop their nuclear production and to align with the American interests. And if they are not adhering to that, then they will be they have been sanctioned. Economic sanctions have been played, and none of the countries are allowed to trade with that country. And this is happening recently as well. India and a lot of countries import a lot of oil from Iran. However, now they are unable to do so. They are, because of the economic sanctions, unilaterally placed by the United States. So that's the form of extreme terrorism against Iran by the United States. Similar was the case a few years back when Russia misstepped from the norms established by the West in ways of attacking Georgia and influencing Ukraine politically. Now, in that context as well, Russia was sanctioned unilaterally by the West, and all the trades were stopped, and the economy was hit. So, this hitting the economy, these are sanctions being placed. These are an extreme end of economic imperialism to influence the country, to toe the country in the line. Another example would be what is happening, what has been happening all across the past uh, couple of decades or more against North Korea. Now, that country is completely isolated in terms of economic trade. China is doing the same with Taiwan, and it does not allow other countries to engage with Taiwan and promotes the One China policy. So, we see different examples of economic imperialism and an extreme shade of that as well in a few cases of economic terrorism. Now, this is the new norm of 21st century. And the conclusion, what we can draw is the, the real power relies on a country's economic strength and how it can play with other countries through the economy, through its economic measures and influence. Like very recently, what we have observed is India has stopped, banned import of oil, palm oil from Malaysia. Now, that is something to teach a lesson to the Malaysian premier that you cannot go politically against Indian stand, Indian internal matters, political matters, with reference to Kashmir or Pakistan or whatever. So that's a strong message sent. So that's an economic twist we have done. and that is something new for our country to practice, because normally in the past we have been on the victim side. Now we are playing with that. So the stronger the economy, the more power you have to play with that. Now the US China trade war is all about trying to twist each other through economic imperialism, through economic interdependence. They want to hit each other, and however, both are so strong that they are unable to destroy each other, and economically they are unable to control each other. That level of balance is there in their relationship, and that is why the war gets to a no deal, no conclusion, and no one aligns to each other's requirement unless politically they come up with an understanding and engage. So political engagement is definitely a way. So we see the power of economic imperialism and economic terrorism, and that is something uh, which should be recognized. Uh, if you look into the African countries, then most of them are economically being played by the Chinese investors, or the Southeast Asian countries. Most of them are being economically played by the Chinese investors. So now it is in the interest of those small countries in Africa, small and weak economies, that they safeguard their interest through the forums like United Nations and others. And even within, they need to be careful of big economic powers influencing that country. They need to be very careful on this. Otherwise, they'll lose their independence. So, with that note, I end this topic.